Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Mountaineer Locker Room Then and Now. I'm Greg Chris, your host for tonight's show. We want to welcome you to episode number 2. This is our second show that we're putting out, and working hard on this thing, trying to make it something that you guys out there in Mountaineer land will enjoy. And we want to ask right off the bat here if you would be so kind to like and subscribe to our channel and to the Voice of College Football. That helps us out a great deal. So even if you don't want to watch, you can go over and like and subscribe. We've got a great show for you tonight. We've got a number of fantastic guests. Al Johnson will be here, former strength coach for WVU's, how I remember him. Of course, reading his bio, he's done a ton of other stuff. Frank Fear will introduce him here momentarily with all that. We also have Mallory Willink here, who is the president of the WVU Charlotte alumni chapter down in Charlotte, getting ready for the big bowl game coming up here before long. So we're going to bring her in. Mickey's going to talk to her. Then we'll have a shot discussing all the events and everything that's going on down there with the bowl game. Also, we're going to hear from Randy Flincham. Randy was a tight end on that 69 WVU Peach Bowl squad. And Randy is taking a keen interest in the portal and has really studied up and brushed up on that. And I think you'll enjoy listening to Randy talk about the portal and West Virginia's involvement in that and where we stand and how things are moving around with that. And I think we'll also probably be discussing a little bit of breaking news from today concerning the NCAA, which we'll get to here in just a little bit. But I want to go ahead now and bring in co-host Frank Fear. And Frank, if you want to jump in here and join us, and we'll also go ahead and bring in Mickey if you want to. Mickey Plumley here with us. And guys, it's great to see you both, and a lot of stuff going on in Mountaineer world right now.
Boy, it's great. Great intro, Greg. Good to see both of you again. Looking forward to tonight's show.
Hello, my friends, and welcome Mountaineers out there in Mountaineer land. Thanks for joining us for show number 2. A lot of exciting stuff going on tonight.
Yeah,
Frank, before we dive into the show, I did, mention the breaking news today concerning the NCAA. I wanted to just quickly, I know we're a little stretched for time tonight because we have a number of guests, but I wanted to quickly get your thoughts and your input on this Raekwon Battle situation, and really not just him, but players all over the country in the NCAA with this injunction that was put in place today.
Well, go ahead. Why don't you describe it, Greg, because a number of our listeners, watchers, viewers may not have heard the news. It's big.
Okay. Well, Raekwon Battle, of course, as you know, he transferred to WVU. He's a second-time transfer. So unless there are extenuating circumstances, he has to sit. Well, he met the guidelines, in my opinion, for all these extenuating circumstances, dealing with mental health issues, some other things like that. And yet he was denied eligibility right now. And there was a similar situation at another school where a player was granted eligibility under the same circumstances. So his family filed suit, and it's in the federal district court. And that judge today ruled that for right now, those players cannot be declared ineligible. So there's 14 days until the actual full-blown hearing. 14 days, basically, it's an injunction that says they can play or they are eligible, throughout that 14-day period. Of course, once that ends, then they'll have the trial and hearing and all that at that point, and a decision. If the NCAA decides to challenge it, they want to appeal it, then it'll go to a full-fledged hearing on that situation. So that's where we stand. So as of now, those guys are eligible.
That's great news. Yep. Great news. Fantastic. What do you think, Mick?
We can use all the help we can get. Yeah, I was really glad to hear that today. When you're working with a short number of players as they are, you need as many bodies out there as you can get.
Well, I think I'm not only happy because I'm a WVU fan, and we do need that help for sure. And he's a great player. I'm happy for the players in general, because I think when a lot of people are saying, well, that's just going to be a free for all now. Well, it's free for all anyway. And when you deny these people, it becomes such an objective point of view about whether this one's eligible, that one's eligible. You have these folks at the NCAA just making random decisions about who's eligible and who's not, and that's not a good situation to be in. And because just like in the college football playoff, they're human beings, and everybody has their own biases and their opinions and their feelings about different schools, different people, et cetera, and not crying or anything, but we seem to always get on the bottom end of those deals. So I don't think it should be left up to people. There needs to be a clear-cut rule. You're either eligible or you're not. It shouldn't come down, well, you're eligible if you do this, or if you're in this situation, you're ineligible if you're in this situation. We'll decide which of those situations works and declare you eligible. I just don't think that's a good formula for, settling these things. And I'm happy for all the players that are involved in this, not just the West Virginia guys, which I'm extremely happy for those, but I'm happy for all of them. Frank, I don't know, you may have some words on this as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're getting hurt. And I think in Raekwon's case, he did everything he needed to do. And I know there needs to be rules. And there's so many people, including myself, concerned about the NCAA, be that as it may. Let's take a student-centered, player-centered approach. So it's great news. And, one thing that's really important that all players need, Greg, is they need a good strength and conditioning coach.
Absolutely. Just like me and you, Frank. We've had our strength and conditioning.
We have one right here.
That's right.
And in fact, not just one, but he's a Hall of Famer. He's in the Strength and Conditioning Hall of Fame. I can guarantee you that's not a hall. I'm not in any hall. Greg is, West Virginia Sports Hall of Fame, but I wouldn't make that one. But Al Johnson, a friend, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming on the show.
Appreciate the opportunity. I'm honored to be here. And I tell you what, I really enjoyed, got a chance to watch last week's show, and I thought it was awesome. What a great kickoff for your show.
Thank you.
And you were talking before we went on about that your introduction, given last week's show, your introduction to WVU football was
sitting in the end zone in 1969 at the Peach Bowl. My father and I'm from Parkersburg, and riding a bus to Atlanta and sitting in the end zone in a torrential downpour and watching the Mountaineers beat up on South Carolina. That was my introduction to WVU football, and from there I was hooked from that point on. But what a great, unbelievable memory, and what a great experience, because I don't know what the odds were on that game as far as were we expected to win, were at that time, were they looking down their nose at us hey, here are these guys coming, who are these bunch of hilljacks coming from the mountains to play down here in Atlanta. It was a good experience. So fun.
The thing that's great. The thing that's great about Al, I got to know him, and you saw on the screen, he's been at so many great schools. In fact, he was at Ohio State when they won the national championship under Jim Tressel. Great team that won, I think, was it 2001 or 2002?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but Al is a WVU alum. He did his graduate work there and did 2 stints with West Virginia as their strength coach, and everybody says nothing but great things about him. And then left football for baseball. And we were talking about what that experience is like. Say a few words about going from college football to Major League Baseball with the Orioles.
Tell you what, it was exciting. It was one of the toughest decisions I ever made to leave West Virginia, to be honest with you. But I went there, but my idea was hey, you can't always go forward, but you may be able to come back. And so I went there, and little did I know I'd have the Major League team plus 6 minor league teams by myself. So I saw over 800 baseball games in 4 years. And so I know the national anthem forward, backwards. I can start in the middle. But it was just I tell you what a great experience. But it really, to show you, to date myself a little bit, I'll just mention one player, actually 2, but one was Ken Griffey Jr. was a 19-year-old rookie starting in center field for the Seattle Mariners. And him, and then the other guy I worked with who never drew attention to himself was Cal Ripken Jr., who played in 2,632 consecutive games. It really taught me a lot about toughness, seeing Cal every day. And, coming in with a temperature of 102, sprained ankle, his back's out of place. He's always in the lineup. But it was a great experience. But I was excited. I would have came back to West Virginia if they would have, Coach Nealon and would have sent me a bus ticket. I would have taken a bus from Baltimore back to Morgantown. I mean, that's how anxious I was to get back, and it was never look back.
Al, you mentioned Ken Griffey Jr. I had Larry Barnett, who was an umpire. He's done a nitro umpired World Series, isn't it? A lot of them. And I asked him the question, who was the best athlete he ever saw play baseball, and he said Ken Griffey Jr. Was by far. I wanted to ask you, when you started in this business, or when you were at WVU, the idea of strength and bodybuilding and all those type of things, that really wasn't a big deal back then. If I remember correctly, I know when I was in high school, which I graduated high school in 1980, we didn't even have a weight bench. We had a hydraulic thing that we used some, but weightlifting just wasn't something that people did back in. When you got into it, what was it like? I mean, I know you probably had to fight some battles, I would guess.
Yeah, you know what? I tell you what, it was easier than you think, because I think, the first length of time, I was a graduate assistant to begin with. So I came as a graduate assistant. I came out of a small high school in southeastern Ohio where I was coaching and teaching. But I came in, and the thing is once you could show an athlete improvement, changes in their body, strength, power, speed, etc., I mean, they were hooked. And then the correlation of success. I mean, if you're bludgeoning them and putting through all these rigors and etc., and you're not winning, then you have a problem. And you guys know this. I mean, you're only as good as the support you get. I mean, Don Nealon was incredible. I mean, hey, I didn't have to sell what I did. Don Nealon sold what I did to the players.
Okay, that's kind of where my question was going. I had no doubt the players would be all in. I just wondered about the coaches and old school coaches and what their thoughts were about it. But sounds like you had a pretty good situation there with that too.
Oh, it's a great situation. And everyone was bought in. I mean, very fortunate, very blessed to be part of the program. And it's just, it's one of such that, the kids, the coaches, and I mean, of course, like we were winning. You're winning, right. So that helps quite a bit, and so that kind of perpetuates a positive mindset. And hey, they drank the Kool-Aid early.
There you go.
Hey, Al,
you got a question?
I just wanted to interject one thing here, Al. Going back, I played on that '69 Peach Bowl team that you referred to, and just to contrast how things used to be then versus how they've evolved in college football. You want to take a guess at what our primary strength and conditioning workouts were, the mechanisms that we did?
Yes, I'm going to say body weight exercises, isometric exercises, and probably an old thing called an exergenie.
You're exactly right. Those three, with the most prominent being isometrics, just using resistance of tactics and techniques with your own body. The emphasis, particularly of Jim Carlin and Bobby Bowden coming out of the South, was on strength and agility. And they actually, I would think you had your work cut out for you at some point in that transitional phase, because I can recall their philosophy was you could become, too strong, that would take away from some of your agility as a player if you became muscle bound, if you will.
Well, there's no question. But, the thing is, I mean, that was a myth and a misnomer that people thought about. I mean, geez, because especially when I got in baseball. When I got in baseball, that's the last domain. They're thinking, why in the heck am I going to lift weights? I'm a baseball player. I got to have twitch. I got to hit the ball, throw the ball, etc. But the thing was flexibility. So, I incorporated yoga, aerobic dance, flexibility. I mean, early. I'm talking about in the early to mid 80s. So I try to stay ahead of the curve as much as possible, because that's one thing Coach Nealon and the staff was like, hey, we want to get them bigger, faster, stronger, but we don't want to lose any flexibility. And if they can't move it, it doesn't matter if I can bench 450 pounds and I can't move, offensive or defensive lineman, it's not going to matter.
Right.
You're exactly right.
I can't eat what I can't catch, you know?
You're exactly right. I can recall that they did take us one day. Our trainer, Bill Caldcut, who's probably listening tonight, took us to a ballet class. And let me tell you, it was more fun than a barrel of monkeys. You wouldn't believe how some of us, tried to master some of those moves in the ballet class. But things have come a long way since back in the day. That's for sure.
That's right.
It really
I'm
has.
anxious to see Charlie Fisher do some of those ballet moves. Next time I talk to him, I'm going to get to some of them out. Al, another question I wanted to ask real quickly. Nowadays, golfers, you can tell, but they lift heavy and are bigger, stronger. It's in every sport. And what's your take on kind of today, what it's like? I mean, you look at these. Me and my brother were talking last night. We're watching the NFL game, and I said, "Man, how do these guys get up from these hits that they're taking?" And he said, "Those guys are just so fast and strong." And I said, "Well, if you look at those running backs, they're fast and strong too." And I said, it kind of equals out, but everybody has that muscle build and that strength and all that today. So what's kind of your take on the way things are today as compared to what it was like when you first started out?
I'll tell you what, I think, one thing that I can tell you that, as an athlete gets stronger, you're talking about a collision sport, let's say basketball, let's say football, rugby. As they get stronger, they become more durable. Your body becomes more durable to the hits. The only thing now you see is it, through the years, spring football now is flag football. They limit the amount of hitting going on. But the one thing I see today, the thing that's more emphasis in the last 8 to 10 years is on recovery. Of training, whether it be ice baths or whirlpools. Like they have the miniature swimming pools, and recovery. And coaches are getting smarter. Coaches have gotten smarter the last 7 to 10 years in terms of cycling their practices. I remember one year, and I'll tell you just a quick story. I remember one year, gosh, this was probably in the late 80s. This is going into the Fiesta Bowl in 88. And I remember some of the seniors coming to me, and we had tough practices. We were going, and Mickey, I know you did. Now, I laugh now because, kids, they don't do 2-a-days anymore. They're going one a day. They're going one a day and like, oh, I'm sore, I can't move. I'm like, hey, try going 2-a-days, or in some instances at some colleges. I was a D2 athlete at West Virginia Tech in Glenville football, and we might go 3 days. The third workout, we went in the pool at 9:00 at night. So that was a third workout during camp. But the thing is I think that recovery, the mode of thought with recovery, coaches are smarter in terms of keeping their players healthier. Like I said, the one year some seniors came to me and said, "Coach, can you go talk to Coach Nealon? We're hitting Tuesday, Wednesday, and part of Thursday. We're going 2-hour practices, and we're beat up by the 8th, 9th week of the season, not only from the game, but also from practices." And so they came to me, and I said, guys, Coach Nealon has been doing this a lot longer than any of us have been around, and he has a plan. So I said, but you know what? He's a very open-minded person. So they went, and Ronnie Wolfley was on that team, Bo Orlando and Ronnie Wolfley. And so they went, and more Bo Orlando, but they went to Coach Nealon and talked to him and said, "Coach, we think we can be a better team. We can be better players if we start tapering down our hitting during practice." And you know what? Coach Nealon listened. And instead of going out and, beating each other up for an hour and a half, 2 hours on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, he tapered it down. We still hit, we still tackled, we still blocked, you still went to the ground, but coach was smarter. And we found out in November, we were an excellent football program and team because we were healthier and fresher as a result of that.
Yeah.
Al, we tried that with Coach Bowden, doing 2-a-days in August in Morgantown when it's 92 degrees outside. We do the first one about 7:30 in the morning, go until about 10:30, go home, take a shower, take a quick nap, be back there right in the heat of the day, about 2 in the afternoon. go to two to four, 2 to 5. So we went to Coach Bowden one time. I said, maybe we should taper off, in these hotter months. He added a third practice at 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
I'll
Hey,
tell you.
I'm looking at the clock. And
Yep, when you move on.
Another guest waiting for us. We're going to talk bowl. I mean, what's on Mountaineer fans' minds now? Certainly basketball season, but the bowl game is big, and we want to get your thoughts, Al, later about how you think the Mountaineers did this year. I know what the answer is going to be, and thoughts about the bowl, and also the portal, as Greg said later. But we've got to bring our guest Mallory in, and so what we're going to do is we're going to send Greg, myself, and Al to the locker room. Out of sight, and Mickey, you're going to stay online, and we're going to bring our guest, Mallory Willig, right on up now. So see you guys in a little bit. Mallory, you're now live.
Hey, Mallory, thanks once again for joining us this evening. I did want to take just a few minutes here and introduce you to our audience this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, Mallory actually is a graduate of WVU. She graduated in 2009. Her husband followed a year later in 2010. So we have a pair of alum down there in Charlotte. She's currently the chapter president for the Charlotte chapter of the West Virginia Alumni Association. She graduated from WVU with a degree in public relations. She was very active in her sorority, Alpha Omicron Pi, along with one of her sorority sisters. When she moved to Charlotte to go to law school, she became active in the WVU Alumni Association down there. And as time has progressed, she's gotten more and more active in the leadership. She's now the club president. She's a lawyer with the law firm of Conrad, Trosh, and Kimmy. And in addition to the work that she does in the legal field and the work she does volunteering as the chapter president for the Alumni Association, she also puts in quite a few hours of doing pro bono community service work in the community of Charlotte as well. And I want to thank you for taking the time to join us this evening, Mallory. And I want to turn it over to you at this point, let you talk about everything that's going to be going on. I know I live in Atlanta, and when we played Alabama down here in the Peach Bowl opener a few years back, we had all sorts of activities going on that weekend. I know you do as well from our prior discussions. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you so you can tell the audience everything they can expect, where the parties are going to be come the 26th and 27th of December. Welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having us. We are so excited to have everyone here in Charlotte. As you all know, the bowl game is going to happen on the 27th, a few days after Christmas. And what better way to spend that time between the holiday and the new year? So certainly we weren't expecting it to be in Charlotte, as I think most were not. And so we were super excited. And once that announcement happened, we as a chapter hit the ground running. I'm blessed to have such a great board that works closely with me to help plan. And we have some great partners here in Charlotte as well that really have jumped on board to help us make this a possibility for everyone coming down. So before I get into that, though, I would like to just kind of make a note that some may not know is that our Alumni Association is celebrating its 150th anniversary this year. We have over 70 different chapters throughout the U.S. and interest groups located all over. So it's really an exciting year. And even more excited to be able to host all these events here in Charlotte. So with respect to the game events, the day before the game on the 26th of December, we are going to be having the WVU radio show and a meet and greet. And that's going to be located at our partner Dilworth Neighborhood Bar and Grill. And that is going to be from 5 to 8 p.m. You can join with fellow Mountaineers before the game to do that meet and greet. And during that, there's going to be food and beverage, of course, with specials. And the Mountaineer Sports Network Bowl radio show will be live broadcast from that site. And our WVU's play-by-play announcer, Tony Caridi, will be there with some other MSN personalities. So we invite everyone to come out and join us for that event. It's going to be a really good time and a great way to kind of kick things off. The next day on the 27th, of course, the actual game day, we're going to host the official pregame watch party at Dilworth Neighborhood Bar and Grill as well. We do have tickets live for sale right now. Those tickets are $75 for adults, $30 for children. Those tickets include an all-you-can-eat buffet full of amazing food at Dilworth, and I think they've put the link up there on the site, so really appreciate that. But we're going to have a full buffet of great food, beer, wine, seltzers, a signature cocktail, soft drinks. There will be a cash bar, of course, and the buffet is even going to include some pepperoni rolls. We're super excited to be able to offer that.
All right.
So very excited that our partner can do that for us. So.
And do I understand you're providing some free transportation on the day of the game from the stadium to Dilworth? Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, we have shuttles that run from the Dilworth event site. It's not a very far at all to get to the stadium. Those shuttles will start running prior, of course, to kickoff, and they'll take people to the game and drop them off. And then they'll be able to return back to the Dilworth site as well. There's free parking on sites, first come, first serve, of course, for that parking, but we do have parking available, and shuttles will be running, and hopefully that'll be fun. We also have we'll have a big, exciting event around 2 p.m. during that tailgate. The entire Pride of West Virginia, the marching band, will be there in the parking lot of Dilworth playing for us for about 30 minutes or so. They'll have the cheerleaders as well, and our wonderful mascot will be there as well. So
all right,
really exciting event.
You're going to have the entire band there.
That's right. We worked with
Wonderful.
the city of Charlotte and made sure that we've got all the arrangements and made, and we're going to get them in and let them perform for all of us, and then get them to the stadium for their game events.
Boy, if that doesn't pump up everybody for the game, I don't know what would. That is wonderful. When we did the Alabama game down here, we had a group of cheerleaders and part of the band, but to have the entire Pride of West Virginia there partying with you, it's going to be fantastic.
It's going to be a great event for sure.
So the 27th, 5 to 8 p.m. were the hours again?
The 27th is the tailgate. That's from 12:30 to 4 p.m. That's right.
I misspoke. On the 26th, it's
26
between 5 and 8 p.m. Right.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And the day of, I don't think I mentioned this, but the day of, for anyone who's not attending the game but still wants to come to the tailgate, they're absolutely welcome to do that. And we do have dedicated space at the venue that will continue showing the bowl game. So come for the tailgate, hang out, and stay. Throughout the game, watch the game there. There will, have drink specials and things like that still going on. And then hopefully we'll be all celebrating after a great win back at Dilworth following the game.
Well, we call this Mountaineer Locker Room then and now. I think it's only appropriate that we took out South Carolina some 53 years ago. Now it's our turn down there for you folks to take out North Carolina.
That's right.
Well, and thank you so much for appearing tonight and letting us know, what's going to be going on. And I want to thank you personally for all the work you've done down there. I've been involved with the Atlanta chapter here, and I know a lot of people may not realize that each chapter dedicates itself to raising a scholarship fund for sending a local student from that area up to WVU. Could you speak just a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. Our chapter has two different scholarships that are endowed. One is an athletic scholarship and one is an academic scholarship. So all of the funds that we raise as a chapter goes into those scholarship funds, and students will apply through the university and be selected through the university to receive those scholarships. There's certain criteria that you have to meet. And one of ours is that you have to be from the Charlotte area, right? So we love hearing about the students from our area that get to go as a result of our efforts raising those funds.
Yeah, we do similar things in Atlanta. Do you have an annual golf tournament in Charlotte?
We do. We have an annual golf tournament that we brought back last year. So last year was our return of that, and we have it set to occur again this coming fall in August. And that occurs at a golf course up near the racetrack here in town. And we also do an annual pepperoni roll contest as well in the spring. So, and all of that again raises those funds for those scholarships.
Sounds
Mallory, I got a quick question for you here.
Sure.
I know you've been doing this for a while. When you find out the bowl game's going to be there, I know that fired everybody up. I know you're excited about that. What happens then? I know you have to be in contact with the folks at WVU and certain people to get all this stuff put together. To kind of describe what that's like for you, that's got to be crazy.
It is crazy. You're right. Within a short period of time after finding out that it's going to be in Charlotte, I immediately started reaching out, of course, to my board. We started reaching out to our partners here in town, communicating with the alumni chapter in Morgantown and the folks there in Morgantown that help put these events on. As you can see from the graphic that was up earlier, we do have the event is not just the alumni, it's all sorts of partners throughout West Virginia University and athletic club and so forth, right? So there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of phone calls, a lot of coordination that has to happen. And then, of course, the folks from Morgantown came in to Charlotte to meet with us and meet with our partners and not just us for the tailgate. There's, of course, a lot that goes on for that bowl game. So they're meeting with a lot of people to make sure that the fan experience is great and make sure that our players and everyone involved in that have a great experience as well. So a lot of meetings, a lot of planning, a lot of making sure all the little details are taken care of, for sure.
Frank, do you have anything you'd like to ask Mallory before we let her go?
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what, we just had our winter home is in Fort Myers, and the Mountaineers just came down for a basketball tournament. So the Jacqueline Hartley and the crew at the Fort Myers Club really had to move mountains to be able to get everything done. So I don't have a question. Just want to say thank you very much, Mallory, for you and the group. The amount of work that goes in. You're all volunteers to do this, and you really care. So, Al, any questions you want to ask of Mallory about festivities?
Hey, Mallory, I applaud you for all the hard work, obviously. I know it's probably a major undertaking. How many years has your chapter been in existence? And give us a ballpark number of how many members are in your chapter.
I don't have the answer for you on how long we've been around, but I can tell you that it's been around at least as long as 2009 when I moved to Charlotte, and I know it pre-existed me, so I can at least give you that. I know in the Charlotte area alone, we have over 2,500 alumni, so we have a lot of people in the area. Of course, we're hoping they all come back following Christmas to participate and be a part of this with us, but yeah, we have a pretty large following down here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there somewhere on the internet page or something that people can go to get information? People like me that want to come down and join you guys, is there somewhere that they can go look for that?
Absolutely.
If you want to tell us that?
Yeah, so I think they had a post up. Yep, there it is right there on the screen. You could get tickets there. It's an Eventbrite site. You can log in there and it tells you all the details about the actual day of tailgate. There are no tickets for the event on the 26th, the radio show. That is, you come, there's plenty of space at Dilworth to host that. So no tickets for the 26th. Definitely get a ticket for the 27th. Right now, we do have a cap on how many tickets we can sell, and we have already sold over 350 tickets for that tailgate. Wow. And so it's going to be a pretty big event, but we do expect those to sell out. So make sure to get those. And also follow us, our chapter, WVU Charlotte, on social media, that being Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn.
All right. Well, you can obviously tell I was paying attention when they put this up once already. I asked a question about tell how good I was watching. I was watching. I just didn't know that was what that was. Yeah. I've got a question here about, will we have any mayonnaise down there? That's the next big question.
I'll make sure Dilworth has some mayonnaise for the burgers. How about that?
Sounds great. Mallory, thank you so much for joining us. It's been fantastic. We appreciate you. We appreciate all the hard work that you're doing, and we look forward to getting down there and joining you guys and rooting the Mountaineers on to a victory. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks again, Matt.
Thank you. Awesome.
Nikki, sorry about that. Didn't mean to cut you off like that. Sorry.
No. She and I had spoken earlier. Yeah, they're expecting a total of about 1,200 people to show up on game day for that tailgate party. So it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, going to these bowl games in modern days is a lot more fun. They have a lot of events going on, a lot of stuff to do. It really is you need to take 3 or 4 days and go and just enjoy yourself, because all kind of good activities going on. We talked earlier about the transfer portal. Last week we talked about that. I know we keep up with it. I know a lot of folks, West Virginia fans, do watch, because we're all worried about who we're going to lose. What player we're going to lose next. And so far, I think it's going pretty well. But Frank had the opportunity to join with Randy Flincham to discuss the portal. He has become quite an expert in that. He really studies it, pays attention to it. And Frank had the pleasure to talk to Randy and get his input and his take on what's going on so far in the portal for WVU. And I think a lot of folks will be interested in this. Frank, if you want to give a little background and then get that started, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Well, actually, it was Mickey's idea, and I wish I had thought of it first, because Randy is a real student of the portal and recruiting, and he follows the personnel side. And as you know, Al, having experience in the game really helps, because you look at things a little more carefully and with a broader perspective. And boy, did he do that! We've got a 20-minute tape, which I'm going to put up in a few seconds. Randy could not be with us tonight; he's working, but we got him on tape yesterday, and he's going to make comments about the national situation. Obviously, he has opinions about that, and we'll come back and talk about it when the video is done. And then he does a deep dive into the ins and outs of WVU, and even today there was more information. And the last thing I'll say is that in today's times that we live in, the Country Roads Trust is a critical partner in all of this, because the motivation, obviously, and one of the issues of players moving, coming, leaving, is what kind of nil deal, a name, image, likeness deal they'll be able to get. And so he's on top of that. And I would say that what we should probably do right now is, again, you guys go back into the locker room, and I'll push a button here and we'll get Randy up, and he'll give us the skinny on portals. So let me do that right now. Well, we're very pleased today to have a friend of mine. Actually, he's a prominent figure in the book that I wrote about WVU football in the 60s and early 70s. Randy Flincham, who played at WVU 68, 69, and 70. But Randy, who's a native of West Virginia, also was a high school coach in West Virginia, was on the WVU football staff. He'll talk about that. And also a longtime high school coach in Abington, Virginia. Am I right on that, Randy? Abington, did I get that right? Fantastic. And Randy is a real student of the portal. And as we all know, that's a subject that is on everybody's mind. The portal opened just a few days ago. We're taping this the day before it's airing on our program. And Randy, it's a pleasure, an honor to have you with us. Say a few words to the audience, for the audience, about your background, and then we'll dive right into the portal, looking at it, framing it nationally, and then looking specifically at WVU.
All right, Frank, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here talking with you, and hopefully some folks out there. I've always followed WVU football, and recruiting's been a hobby of mine too. I just didn't start with the portal. I've followed football recruiting forever. That and in the NFL draft, that's just something that always interested me. Just like you said, I'm from West Virginia. I'm from War, West Virginia, Big Creek High School. Played football there for Joel Hicks. Went on to WVU. And played there 68, 69, 70. Went back to West Virginia and coached at Big Creek High School again. Then coached in Virginia at Pulaski County and at Abington High School, and also coached in Tennessee at Sullivan Central High School. So I coached for about 30 years. I think that's what happened to my hairline, but I've really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to just talking about what you and I have gone over about the portal and WVU athletics. I used to follow recruiting quite a bit there with Mountaineers. I'd get a list of who they were looking at, and highlight them and just mark off who was who and what quarterbacks I thought we'd get, or what any position there. So I've been a player and a fan for a long time.
Great. Your thoughts about, I know you've thought about this a lot, Randy, about the portal, what it means for college football. A lot of people say it's going to be the ruin of college football. Other people say Yeah, there's some downsides, but there are also some upsides too, particularly in terms of providing opportunities for players that may not have been there. But it is changing the landscape of college football. There's no question about that. So your thoughts about the portal generally?
Well, we had talked before again about the portal, and the big thing about the portal is what led up to it was the right players have now to transfer without sitting out a year or anything along that line. And I started thinking back to back when I played, and I just thought about guys then that could have transferred or should have transferred there to have the opportunity to play more. I thought, well, hey, coaches can come in and go, and some coaches would stay till the recruiting season was over and sell kids on coming, and they'd leave and go to another school. And I thought to myself then, well, why not players? I look back on the WU program, and I think about quarterbacks, I guess, first. And I go back to Mike Sherwood. Mike came in my class, our freshman class in 67. Well, in 68, we brought in Bernie Galiffa and Kim West. And that's two good quarterbacks right there, too. So, well, freshmen weren't eligible. But then the next year, Sherwood was a junior, and Bernie and Kim were both sophomores. Sherwood started again as a senior. So both those guys sat for 2 years behind them. Now, I think that if the portal was available then, at least one of them would have transferred. Bernie stayed and replaced Mike, and Kim West, who was a great quarterback, punted for us. But I do look back on the days when I played, and he would have been one player I think would have really benefited from a transfer rule and a portal. My feelings about transferring, I could see one time. I could see transferring one time, and okay, that's it. If you transfer or want to move around any after that, you should lose a year then. I think that's fair. I think that's fair to the players too. As far as my thoughts on the portal, we've just the toothpaste is out of the tube. We're not going to be able to put it back, and I think all we can do now is try to regulate it. What we've basically done is made paying players legal, and some people have taken it to an extreme. My feelings on the portal are okay. One-time transfer is fine, but now people are going around contacting kids and saying, hey, if you're looking to play more as a running back, come and see us. I can see young guys doing it who see the handwriting on the wall and say, hey, there's two guys ahead of me that are really good. I'm never going to get to play at least till I'm a senior. And, they didn't, they were just stuck at one time. I could see a young kid, maybe like the Herd kid there at WVU, transferring and looking for more playing time earlier, in his career. Do I think the portal's a good thing? Yes, in one way, but the amount of money and things that are getting involved, I hear that kids are asking just to make a visit. They want $5,000 just to visit, and that's crazy there. I don't know there. I'm hoping the NCAA and the coaches, presidents of universities can get together and come up with some type of, salary cap or something to just limit the amount of money that we're feeding these players, because we've created a monster there.
Yeah, it's the Wild West, isn't it? But that's the Charlie Baker proposal now, that we'll see how far it goes, where essentially the amount of money would be level, and there would be other ways to manage it, not just with the money. But you're absolutely correct, because we see players sometimes play at 4 schools during their career, and they get caught in all kinds of stuff. But we were talking before the taping that be the way it is right now, at least up to this point, since the portal opened a few days ago, 1,400 football players have jumped into the portal. About 10% are committed. So odds are that a number of the players who have jumped into the portal will not remain there. Probably will go back to their school. Let's talk about West Virginia, and you and I'll tell you what, Randy has a lot of data. And here's one that we looked at, and it is essentially the WVU players who have entered the portal as of at least the list that we have as of noon on Tuesday of this week. And so, Randy, talk about the numbers of those players, the ones you think would be the most issue if they were to leave WVU. Your thoughts about that list?
You know, one thing about the list, Frank, is the number of players on there that left during the season. I think Cortez Bram, Jay Sean Polk, and Lance Dixon, I think all three of those guys kind of left the team during the season and said that they were going to transfer out. You know, that's one thing you look at and you think, golly, you know, how's that going to affect team morale or something else? And what really will test, you know, the leadership of the guys that are there on the team. I don't know if those guys, you know, sometimes someone could stick around and, you know, and demean the coaches or, you know, put down, you know, players or whatever there. And I hope that didn't happen with the guys that left. Out of all the players, I think that are leaving, I think Mike Lockhart there, our nose tackle there, was the biggest loss. I thought he played real well during the season. He's a big guy, and he helped us quite a bit in that defensive line. I think he's probably the best guy. Another starter there, Hershey McLaurin, you know, started at safety quite a bit, and of course he's in the portal now. You know, one thing, Frank, it's interesting is the first thing we saw was the Mountaineers started announcing the players that were going to stay. And of course, one thing I think those players, you know, that helped them make their decision was how much NIL money was being offered to them. And again, not by the school, but by the various NIL people there. I think it's the Mountaineer Trust or whatever we're calling it. After we started seeing the Mountaineers that were going to stay, I think at that time we started allocating money. Now, again, this is speculation, but I think that's one thing that might have driven guys, especially guys who were starting, to think, whoa, you know, there's just so much money to go around that this offer maybe that I got, that, you know, that they received wasn't commensurate, let's say, with what they thought their ability was. And I think I'm sure that would be another reason to make them think about going into the portal and to see if they could make a little more money at a, you know, from another school. Again, the three guys that transferred during the season. Then after that, we lost a few guys. We lost three wide receivers, David Mallinger and Cortez Brim and Jay Sean Polk. I don't think any of them really played much. Another big loss is going to be Justin Johnson, the running back, who I really liked. I thought he was our number 2 running back this year. And of course, Jaheim really came on. Jaheim White did, and played super well. And again, Justin Johnson evidently wants to do it right. He's the only one out of that whole group that I know of who has asked to stay, work out with the team and play in the bowl game, and then leave. I think all the other guys have made the decision to go. We lost McLaurin in the portal to safety. We lost Christian Stokes, again, who didn't play much. He was a safety. Keyshawn Cobb was another safety. Lance Dixon was a linebacker who transferred to the Mountaineers from Penn State. And who I thought was going to be a player, and I think they tried to find the right position for him. I think we started off playing him inside at linebacker and then tried him at outside and maybe even played him ahead of Bartlett for a little while. But evidently things just didn't work out for him. And, you know, he made his decision mid-season to leave us. I think we've lost some guys, but I think we lost them at the right position. most of the guys, I think, other than Lockhart and McLaurin, really weren't that big of factors this season, and Justin Johnson, of course.
Yeah. And by the way, that's not Randy's error. At Johnson, we're giving Johnson a new first name. It's not Jalen, it's Justin. So that's my mistake, and I apologize for that. And we were talking, Randy and I, before we recorded, that Mike Lockhart is being pursued as of today, Tuesday, the day before this is going to be shown. He seems to be the only one, at least as reported by on3.com, which is, I think many would say, the best source for portal and other information. Lockhart's being pursued, they said, by both Vanderbilt and SMU.
You know, in looking at that, Vanderbilt has really lost a lot of kids, and, you know, well, I won't say lost, has had a lot of kids enter the portal. And I think one of their wide receivers was ranked at maybe as the number one wide receiver in the portal. And I'm sure that the opportunity to play would be there for Lockhart. I don't know if the money would be.
Now, one thing about the list I'm going to put up now, Randy, is you have a much longer list. And so notice the word among WVU portal offers. Obviously, there are those on the team who have entered the portal, but also WVU is going out and seeking players to replace them and also to strengthen the team generally. Here are maybe four of the biggest names. Jaden Bray played for Oklahoma State. We saw him earlier this year. With my affiliation with Michigan State, I've seen Malik Carr play. That guy is a stud. He is a big-bodied NFL-type tight end. Tremendous. Terry, I don't know Terry Lockhart well at Syracuse, but I have heard good things about Jermon McCoy at Oregon State. But your list is much longer. Talk about that a bit.
Well, you know, and again, one thing about the list, as far as guys that we've offered, that I've been able to come up with, if you want to identify what the coaches think are areas that are weak and that we really need to fill, I think just look at the guys in the portal that we're offering and trying to get in to come in for a visit. And you'll see there that, let's see, I've got, I think, 12 or 13 defensive backs. 1, 2, 3, I've got 4 of them for sure are listed as corners. And the others were just listed as defensive backs. And they include players from Bucknell, Colorado State, Tennessee State, Louisville, Syracuse again, Western Kentucky, Rhode Island, Georgia Tech, Middle Tennessee, Wake Forest, and San Diego State. And that's quite a few defensive backs. And again, if you want to identify an area that we're in need, that would be where we lost, I think, 3 safeties, like I said, who might be transferring. And both of our starting corners this year are leaving. I know there's one corner coming back who was hurt this year that you really like. I think that's Montrell Miller. That's there to help us, and the rest of the guys are young. So I'd say definitely defensive back is going to be an area we're looking at. And one thing we have to remember too, you know, okay, we're trying to find players. We got to look at how many years do they have left, you know, and then we have to look at how much money do you want to invest. The crux of the biscuit now is a little different. You know, some of these defensive backs, the kid from Colorado State's got 3 years. The kid from Syracuse has 2, and quite a few of them just have 1 year left. So we have to decide again how we're going to allocate our assets for these guys. Now the Mountaineer message board and the blue lot there that Vernon runs are just super, and there's quite a bit of information on there. Of course, it part of it is a pay site, but they mention quite a few of the players that they know that have received offers. And then you look at wide receivers. Now we got 2 good young ones coming, I think, in Gallagher and Trayvon. All his names, I don't know. Is it Taylor? I think who even started earlier than Gallagher did. But most of the receivers well, I'd say looks like we definitely want to improve that position. There's a kid, Dante Lee, who played for Shaw University. I think that's in Nashville, who's receiving all kinds of offers. I mean, top flight offers, a little skinny guy. But evidently he must be, just from what I've read now, I haven't seen him play, but he must be a heck of a player. He's one guy we're trying to get in to visit, and maybe one of the first guys we offered in the portal. Jamel Banks from Wake Forest is also in there. Cyrus Allen from Louisiana Tech. An offensive lineman from Michigan State you might be familiar with, Gino Vandermark.
Yeah, he didn't play much. Well, I shouldn't say that. He's not one of the leading names, but he's solid. I looked at his stats. Yeah, and what you said earlier is so true. It really comes down to the Country Roads Trust.
Yeah.
They've really retooled, upgraded. They're considered now a top 20 NIL organization, a cooperative. And you're right. It really is a business. You've got to make a decision not only to whom to offer, but how much, as well as not slighting the folks you have here. Randy, this has been instructive as just tremendous. Any final thoughts? You're going to continue to follow this, I know, but any final thoughts for now for the audience?
There's of course, Fraser's going to go pro, and boy, we're going to miss him. But there's a center at Valdosta State named Mike Marotta, that he was right up there with Deontay as one of the first guys we approached, and one of the first guys that we want evidently in the portal. And that might be a name to remember. He could step in nice right there at center, Pete, with the guys that we still have there. I appreciate the chance, to come in and do this. So like I said, it's a hobby. I love WVU. And I like to keep up with what's going on up there. I've tried to been active in the varsity club with them. And I appreciate you guys, you and Mickey, and what you all are doing there now to fill in for, to take over for Wolf. And I wish you nothing but success.
Well, thank you very much. And we certainly appreciate you and your perspective. And it would be great to have you back again. The portal's going to close in early January and then won't reopen until later. So it'd be great to get your thoughts about the national scene again in early January, and also WVU status in the portal. So we'll have you back. You did a great job, my friend. I knew you would. We knew you would. And I know that the audience really appreciated, is going to walk away with from this, knowing a lot more about the portal than many of us, including myself, did going in. Thank you very much, Randy Flincham.
Thank you.
Good job, Frank. That was very entertaining, very informative. Randy has a good handle on that. And I tell you, he mentioned something in that interview that I think we've thought about. I've talked about this. I have a little different perspective, but he mentioned a salary cap. And, I think, people can fuss about the portal all you want. It's here. We got to learn how to deal with it. And I think they've got to get some regulations in place. The salary cap could be a good idea. I don't know how that would work. I think contracts, it basically is pro ball now because you're getting paid to play. Contracts might be an idea, a number of things that could be done, but that's a discussion for another day. But great job with the interview. That was very interesting.
Thoughts from Al, Mickey, about what Randy had to say?
Well, he's certainly a student of what's going on, very knowledgeable of what's happening with the portal. As a former player personally, I've got mixed emotions about it. Frank, it's almost, as everybody refers to it, play for pay, which detracts, in my opinion, from some of the motivation that I had to go play college football. I wanted to go and first of all, get an education. But I also wanted to represent my state. I wanted to represent, the blue collar workers in the southern coal fields that I came out of. And I just think, when money enters the picture with young men, in that age group of 17, to 20, 21 years old, it can certainly cloud their opinion somewhat on, what are my goals in life and what's most important to me personally. Some of the things that are going on in the portal are just, it's gotten to the point of ridiculous. I'll mention two that I'm aware of for our listeners. Some may be aware, some not, but I know the University of Texas formed a nonprofit corporation called the Pancake Club, and it's very similar to what WVU Country Roads Trust is, a nonprofit corporation that's raising funds to help fund some of these portal players that want to come to WVU. But they offered every offensive lineman, the Pancake Club at the University of Texas, they offered every offensive lineman $50,000 per year not to enter the portal. So you were guaranteed, if you stayed there, it didn't mean you have to be a starter. If you stayed at the university, you're guaranteed to get $200,000 in addition to the scholarship that you were granted for getting your education with. So, that just something about that strikes me as not being quite right. And maybe it goes back to the values that were instilled in me as a young man by people like Bobby Bowden, for example. The other example I'll bring up is the Utah Utes. They didn't buy, but they leased every player on the team a 2023 Ford F-150. Every 78 Ford F-150s they leased for those. Every player on the team got one, and they signed a 6-month lease, and they made the insurance payments on the vehicle for them. So as long as they stayed at the school, they could keep their truck. But as soon as they decide to go, then they'd have to give that up. And the final analysis.
I'd hate to see what that looked like after practice. Everybody trying to leave. Which truck he was supposed to get?
Which truck is mine?
I'm just joking. Just a joke. Hey, Mickey, I don't mean to cut you off, but we probably need to move on here. I think Frank's going to bring Joey in. Let's go ahead and do that before we run out of time here, Frank.
Go right ahead.
While we wait for Joey, I know he's watching. Joey, why don't you come into the area here? There he is. Amen. There he is.
I was back there. I've been back there about 15 minutes watching the show.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, most of you do know Joey, but he's the guy that manages the network. And in fact, I'll put it up right here. There he is. Well, I'm not sure channel managers your official title
manages
executive president.
Mark manages. Joey just helps. So, I don't want blame for anything. So Mark does everything. But I do want to tell everybody about a new show we have coming up starting tomorrow night that will be on this channel as well as the Big 12 channel, and it's called Big 12 Fan Zone. And I'm going to host it along with my co-host, be Shane. And we'll start that out tomorrow night at 7:00 right here. It will live stream it right here on the West Virginia channel and the Big 12 channel on the Voice of College Football and the main channel of the Voice of College Football as well for a few weeks. So we ask everybody to tune into that. Big 12 fan, if you're a West Virginia fan, come on out. If you're not a Big 12 fan, come out and join us. But I wanted to tell you one more thing, too, because a lot of people are asking about it, or somebody was asking about it in the chat, about what does this mean, this judge ruling today, what does it mean? And WVU put out a statement, and I won't read the statement, but what I will do is I will copy the link and put it right here in the chat for you guys. If anybody wants to go and read that after the show, there's the link to the article about WVU's statement today on the ruling by the judge. And it sounds cautiously optimistic. They're very cautious about this because there could be, this is only a 14-day thing. So if we go and play battle this week in a ball game, he may lose all of his eligibility, should just get a return. And so they have to be sure and take things slow. But I just wanted to come in and shout out our new show. You guys have a great show, man. I love this show. You guys are awesome. Every one of you.
Appreciate it.
So
Well, thank
appreciate
you.
I appreciate all you
Joey,
guys.
I know you want to. You have a message from Nico Marchio.
Oh yes, that's right. You know, I'm glad you reminded me of that, Frank. I forgot all about that. So Nico put out a tweet about a young man, Cody is his name. He's a young man who has been battling neuroblastoma for almost 18 years. And now on top of that, he's battling a lot of lung disease. He's got pneumonia, everything. He's got getting blood transfusions like every week, or every other week. It's crazy. This young man. So, but you know, Nico is there for him, supporting him 100%, and he set up a site where you can donate to try to help raise some money for this young man. It's the link is right up here in this post. It's champraise.com/athletes/Nico-Marchio. And you know, Nico's doing amazing work for WVU Hospital. He's also got a toy fund, you know, so that he can get toys for the kids at WVU Hospital, Children's Hospital. So Nico has some amazing stuff going on. I encourage everyone, follow Nico Marchio on Twitter, because that young man is doing a lot for the university, a lot for the state of West Virginia, period. And you know, so but this young man, he's trying to help out right here. We need to try to help raise some money for him. So if everybody could just take a look at that page and follow Nico on Twitter and look at look at his post. All of the links for everything he's doing is right there. And I encourage everyone to support it 100%. Just like we support Nico, right?
Yes, sir.
You want
he's
Nico
all
to
in, and if people get a chance, they do need to go in and look at his social networking. He's got a ton of stuff going on, and all good stuff. He really has a lot of good stuff going on. It's great to see from, you know, a young person like that's taking the initiative to jump in here in some of these causes that he has. And he's, like I said, he's got a ton of good stuff on there. People need to follow him and check it all out. Really good. And Joey, you were talking about the NCAA, the ruling by the judge. You know, just a nutshell explanation is there's an injunction that says these second-time transfers do not have to sit. Basically, is what that is. 14 days. This injunction lasts 14 days until the hearing. They'll have a hearing about this, and a decision then will be made whether that becomes permanent or not. Of course, there can be appeals, and you know how that is. Could take forever.
Yeah, but I think from what I've read in that article, though, the lawyers are trying to figure out how the NCAA is looking at the ruling and how they're taking that ruling. And so they're taking it one way, but the NCAA could be taking the ruling another way. And if they are, then, you know, there's a possibility we may not see battle play. You know, we don't want to hurt that young man, but at the same time, we don't want to hurt the whole university athletic department. So
yeah, and there's going to be kids all across the country that are watching this very closely, because this affects a lot of people, not just our guys here, but people all over the country. So people will be paying close attention to that big decision.
Yeah, there were several universities named to this lawsuit. If I'm remembering correctly, there was like 6, including Colorado and North Carolina. North Carolina was one of them too, right? So yeah. But I put that link in there if you guys want to read the statement put out by WVU in the chat after the show. But Frank, Greg, Mickey, Al, nice to see you guys. Thank you for having me on, letting me shout out my show. Y'all have a great.
Very good. We're looking for our truck. We're looking for our trucks too, Joey. For image and likeness.
That's right.
Yeah, we're all looking for that, aren't we?
We're not doing this just out of the goodness of our hearts.
Yeah, I'll let Mark know that we all want a truck for name, image, and likeness here.
Yeah, so we got offers from ESPN and everywhere else. He'll tell me to one in one hand and crap in the other one to see what's going to build up faster. But you know, we'll ask him. All right, y'all have a great night.
Great, thank you, Joey.
Take care. Good luck with your show.
Al, I have a question for you. We talk about WVU football all the time. You and I have not talked about it, I think, since before the Louisville game. Even though you've been affiliated with many institutions, WVU is, I think it's fair to say, it's closest to your heart. So your thoughts about how the football season is gone? I think it'd be a good way to end the show. And your thoughts about the bowl game? What's your thinking?
So I'm happy the way the season ended. I mean, obviously 8-4, had a chance to maybe possibly win 9 games. You look at the Houston game. I like the way the season started. I like the lack of respect, being ranked 14th in the Big 12. I thought that was awesome. You know, as a strength coach, I know every year I try to find something, some fodder to help motivate the team. Just say, hey, this is what. And some coaches, you know, in the past, I think a little smarter now, but we're dumb enough to put stuff on YouTube or Twitter or whatever. I mean, you know, in the off season, you know, bashing, you know, another program or raising themselves up, saying, "Hey, we're invincible," whatever. But I'm excited. I think it's you know, that you can tell the toughness. I think, Mickey, you'd agree, the toughness of a program. And I'm thinking, and I'm biased offensively because I was an offensive guard, but I think you look at the rushing. I mean, we were 3rd in the country in rushing. I mean, that there tells me that's an intangible that tells you a lot about toughness, tells you a lot about the culture that's being developed up there. I know fans were impatient with Coach Brown and the staff going into the season, calling for his head, but I think things are trending in the right direction. I mean, I'm excited about the vault. I mean, it's. I mean, what a great matchup it'll be. I'm glad that they got a couple guys that are going to be MIAs. They're not going to they're going to play, but hey, we can't control that. But you know, it's exciting. These are exciting times. And I think, you know, we need to get a W in this bowl game because that'll create more momentum going into the off season for Mike Joseph and the strength staff and the coaching staff and recruiting, transfer portal, all the above. But I think it's going to really be. I think it's really, you're going to see a lot of things that in a positive way that they're going to be affected as a result of this 8-4 season. Hopefully 9-4 after the bowl game.
Yep. I think this bowl game, you know, for West Virginia, and I think you just kind of you feel it. You know, it's important to us, and you kind of get that feeling that it is, and maybe not so much on the other side. And I think this just will increase the momentum that they had going toward the end of the year. Mentioned the rushing thing. I think the last 15 games, I believe we rushed for over 140 yards in those 15 games. That's pretty amazing right there. And I think it's important to West Virginia to win this, keep this momentum going. I'm not so sure that North Carolina feels that way. I don't get that feeling, but of course we found out this past week that Drake May, their quarterback, is going to enter the draft, and I think I mean, as a fan, I'm like, heck yeah. I mean, you want to see us play the best and beat the best, but at the same time, if he wants to go to the draft, I say go on. Leave us alone. So, you guys, Frank, you got anything? Mickey, anything before we give it up for the night?
Mickey,
No, nothing more on my end. Go ahead, Frank.
Well, just one thing that I had forgotten to mention has happened today is that, again, the Country Roads Trust is working hard. It was announced that Ben Cutter and Trey Latham have also committed for next year. So this list continues to grow. And I think what you said earlier, Greg, is, the list of North Carolina players, I wouldn't say is significant, but I mean, and who knows? The quarterback that's going to play for North Carolina likely is Connor Harrell. He threw for 71 yards this year, 71 yards. Well, May threw for 3,600. And so you never know. The guy is, Harrell is a very talented, highly sought, a dual action quarterback. He runs very well. May does not. May's a drop back passer, but he's likely to be the first, odds are the first quarterback taken. So you never know, but there's no question this bowl game means a lot to WVU. We're going to focus on that next week. More on that, but it's great. This was a great show, Al. It's good seeing you again. You added a lot. Mickey, great interview. Mallory was just superb. We always talk about the importance of younger leadership, and with Mallory, it's just fantastic to see younger alumni, younger anybody coming
Right.
forward and just taking the bull by the horn and leading. And so, Mallory, thank you very much for being with us. And I'll kick it back to you to take us home, Greg.
All right. I want to remind everybody one more time to make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube for us. That helps us out when we get those subscriptions. So please do that. Also, make sure you tune in next week. Same bat time, same bat channel here, 7 o'clock Wednesday. We'll have another great show for you. Fantastic job tonight, all you guys. And we want to thank all of our guests again. Al Johnson, of course. Great job by you. We appreciate you sitting in with us for the whole show. That makes it a lot more fun when we have you here for the whole time. Mallory Wilnick, of course, the president of the WVU Charlotte Alumni Chapter, getting set for the big bowl game down in Charlotte, and we look forward to all the activities they'll have, and I'm sure we'll be hearing more and more about that. And if you missed that part of the show and you want to go back, find the link. They've got all the activities on there, what you can sign up for and get tickets for and all that. Make sure you check that out as well. Also, Joey Foster, we appreciate him jumping in and putting his 2 cents worth in, and telling us about a new show that he has coming up. It'll be tomorrow night here on the Voice of College Football, 7 o'clock. So make sure you tune in, check out Joey. Frank, Mickey, appreciate you guys as always. Great job. Al, it was great meeting you, great talking to you. We really enjoyed it. Thank you for joining us. Thank you folks out there for joining us. We look forward to coming to you again next week here on the Voice of College Football. You've been watching the Mountaineer Locker Room then and now. Good night, everybody. We made it.